this is Steve Stine from GuitarZoom. And one thing I think is really important for you to learn is to understand when you solo over different styles of music, the options that you have. And what confuses people sometimes is what I call the theory of rock and roll, or rock logic, we can call it. I have a course that deals with sort of guitar soloing from a cheater's guide perspective. And really what it is just understanding that if you were to take a bird's eye view at a jam that you were going to solo over, whether it's a backing track or, you know, a song that somebody's written or a song that you've written, how do you approach soloing over the top of it? Well, what I want to do right now is just talk a little bit about what I, again, refer to as rock logic, which is, let's say you have a song that's in major, right? The chords are major. So you've got this, whatever it might be, right? So it's an A major chord and a D major chord. Theory says, well, if it's an A major and a D major, then you're either in the key of A major, right? So A and D would be the 1 and the 4 chords. Or you could possibly be in the key of D major, and D would be the 1 chord and A would be the 5 chord, right? So some sort of logic like that, some sort of music theory logic. And not that that's wrong, but you always want to look for other options to see what's going to work best. So let's just say we were looking at this from the perspective of being in the key of A major. So we've got a 1 chord, A, and a 4 chord, D. Okay, so I'm just going to play a little bit of this, and I'm going to give you the A major scale over the top of this. Now, I'd be the last person to tell you that that's wrong, but I think what you need to do is decide what kind of feel you want with what you're trying to do. So if you were taking the music theory approach and saying, okay, well, it's an A and a D, and therefore I'm in the key of A, blah, 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 that's what you'd wind up with. And you could create an amazing solo with that, I am sure. But what I want to offer to you is the idea of understanding that in my brain, this might fall in the category of what I call rock logic, which is it's in the key of A major, but you're actually going to solo minor pentatonic over the top, which makes no logical theoretical sense. But in the rock and roll world and the blues world, this is something that we do quite frequently. So even though I'm playing A major as a chord progression, I'm soloing A minor pentatonic over the top. Now, I'm going to give you a diatonic one to test out too if you know it. But let's just take this A major, or excuse me, A minor pentatonic. Just that right there, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play a little bit of that scale so you can hear what it sounds like. And that just, for me, fits like a glove. It feels great. That's kind of what it's supposed to be. So again, even though the theory says we should be doing something else, our theory of rock and roll is saying, no, 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 we're going to approach this from a minor pentatonic standpoint over this major chord progression. So again, trying to dissect it and make it make logical sense, it really doesn't. You know, the chord isn't minor. It really isn't. It really is major. You know, it looks like I'm making a power chord, and I am. But that major third is what makes it sound the way it should. Well, I'm not using the major third here. I'm using the minor third. And again, that's rock logic. And that's something we're going to be talking a lot about in this guitar course, is understanding when to play major, when to play minor, and when to incorporate this rock logic idea, okay? Now, to take this just a step further, so you've got something awesome to try and work on here while you're watching this, if you want to take your next step from the pentatonic, what you can do is use this minor pentatonic, but move it into what we call Dorian. Dorian sounds really great over the top of this. And if you don't know what Dorian is, don't stress over it. But basically what you're going to be doing is, instead of playing these two notes and these two notes, you're going to add a 7 in there. So you've got 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8. Okay? Which this is the raised or major 6, and this is the 9th. Okay? But again, I don't want you to get all worried about details. I just want you to have some fun here. So you've got your minor pentatonic, but you can add these two notes in. So it looks like this. Now those two notes are right there and right there as well. So those are the octave. So what you can do now, listen to this. This sounds kind of cool too. Okay? So there's a lot of really neat things that you can do with that. So again, you can start with just a minor pentatonic, but I'm just telling you to have some fun here. You could raise the bar and throw those two other notes in there too and have some fun with that. So again, all this stuff is described in my, my guitar soloing cheaters course. Again, just simply meaning trying to help you with when to use what, because a lot of times people have a really hard time with that. And hopefully this lesson helps you a little bit with kind of understanding how to approach a song that sounds a bit more rock and roll, it's a bit more major, but when you go to solo, you might choose to use something minor over the top, and it's going to sound really killer. So take care, practice hard, and I'll speak to you soon.